I remember the last moment before I walked out of my parents' house. It was the morning of the most important job interview of my life. I stood at the living room doorway holding my backpack, watching my father read the newspaper while my mother poured coffee for my younger sister. I felt this strange mix of hope and dread. I wanted their blessing, maybe even a word of encouragement. But deep down, I knew my father did not believe in me. The interview was scheduled for 9:30 in the morning. I had prepared for an entire week rehearsing answers, researching the company pressing my borrowed suit. Yet nobody in that house had asked me a single question about it. And then my father laughed. That cold, dismissive sound when he said, "You're gonna fail anyway." I had no idea that would be the last time I would stand in that house as their son. Before I tell you how I went from being the family disappointment to signing the foreclosure papers on their house, I would love to know where you are watching from. Drop your city in the comments below. If you have ever been told you are not good enough by the people who were supposed to believe in you most, hit that like button and subscribe because this story gets a lot more complicated before it gets better. Let me take you back to where it all started, 2 years before that signature to the morning. My father laughed in my face and told me to be my sister's chauffeur instead. Let me paint the picture of my family for you. My father Raymond worked as a middle manager at a manufacturing company. My mother Diane did part-time accounting work. We lived in a 2-story colonial house in a middle-class suburb, the kind with trimmed lawns and neighborhood watch signs. They still owed 15 years on the mortgage. Growing up, I was always the kid who did not fit the mold. I was not athletic like my father wanted. I did not excel academically like my younger sister. My sister Natalie was 3 years younger than me, and she was everything I was not. She earned a full scholarship to college, majored in pre-med, and became the walking embodiment of my parents' pride. Our house told the story clearly. The walls were covered with Natalie certificates, honor roll plaques, and achievement awards. My high school graduation photo sat in the darkest corner of the hallway, barely visible, unless you knew where to look. I had become background noise in my own family. That morning in early March was supposed to be different. I woke up at 6 in the morning, my heart racing with nervous energy. I had borrowed a navy suit from a friend, paired it with a burgundy tie, and polished my Oxford shoes until they gleamed. This was not just any interview. This was for a junior financial analyst position at a regional bank. I had spent the entire week practicing my answers, memorizing details about the company's quarterly reports, studying their investment strategies. I believed this was my shot at proving everyone wrong. At 7:15, I came downstairs with my head held high, hoping my family would at least acknowledge the importance of this day. The kitchen smelled like pancakes. My mother stood at the stove, flipping golden circles, while Natalie sat at the table scrolling through her phone. My father occupied his usual spot, newspaper spread before him like a wall. I cleared my throat. Big day, today. Interviews at 9:30. My father grunted without looking up. My mother offered a distracted, "That's nice, honey," before turning to Natalie. "Did you finish studying for your anatomy exam?" Nobody asked where my interview was. Nobody asked what position I was applying for. It was like I had announced I was going to the grocery store. At 8 in the morning, just as I was about to leave early to beat traffic, Natalie appeared in the doorway. She wore a casual outfit, her makeup, carefully applied designer purse slung over her shoulder. "Cash, you are taking me to the mall, right?" Dad promised. I blinked at her, confused. "What?" "I have my interview at 9:30. The bank is 40 minutes away." My father finally looked up from his newspaper. "Take your sister. Her interview can wait." I felt my stomach drop. "It is my interview, Dad, for the analyst position I told you about." My father made that sound, that dismissive snort I had heard 1,000 times. "Oh, that. You are not getting that job anyway." My mother tried to intervene, her voice weak. "Raymond, maybe we should." But she trailed off as she always did. Natalie explained she needed to get to the mall to buy a dress for her sorority event that evening. Her friends were waiting. Time was running out. I looked at my father, pleading. "This interview is really important to me. I have prepared for weeks. Cannot Mom take you?" My mother shook her head. "I have a dentist appointment." My father folded his newspaper with deliberate slowness. "It is just an interview, Cash. You will have plenty more. Your sister's event is tonight. She needs that dress." I tried to keep my voice steady, but I could feel the desperation creeping in. "Dad, this is not just any interview. This is the position I have been working toward. If I reschedule, they will think I am not serious." My father set the newspaper down completely and looked at me for the first time that morning. Really looked at me. Let me tell you something about the real world, son. You do not have what it takes for that kind of job. The words hit me like physical blows. He continued, his voice flat and matter of fact. You barely graduated college. No honors. No special achievements. No connections. You think a regional bank wants someone like you. They will take one look at your resume and see exactly what I see. Average. He leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. Your sister has a future. Real potential. You are gonna end up in some dead-end retail job anyway. Might as well accept it now. Natalie stood frozen by the doorway, staring at her phone screen, saying nothing. Not a word in my defense. Not even a suggestion that maybe she could take a cab or ask a friend. My mother tried one more time. Maybe Cash can take Natalie quickly and still make it to his interview. I looked at the clock. 8:15. The bank was 40 minutes away in good traffic. Even if I drove Natalie to the mall right now, spent 15 minutes dropping her off, I would be cutting it impossibly close. And I would arrive flustered, sweaty, unprepared. I felt my throat tighten. So my future does not matter, only hers does. My father stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. He was taller than me, and he used that height now, stepping closer. Your future. What future? You have been living here rent-free for 6 months, sending out resumes that go nowhere. This interview will be just another rejection. Stop being dramatic and take your sister. Then came the moment that changed everything. I said, my voice shaking. I am not taking her. This is my chance. My father stepped even closer, looking down at me. Your chance. You want to know what your real chance is. And then he laughed. Not a chuckle or a brief sound of amusement. He laughed loud, harsh, mocking. The kind of laugh that strips you bare. You think you are going to sit in some office wearing a suit, analyzing numbers. You cannot even manage your own life. Look at you, 24 years old, still dependent on your parents, dreaming about jobs you will never get. He turned to my mother and Natalie, his laughter continuing. He actually thinks he is getting that job. Can you believe it? My mother looked down at her coffee cup. Natalie examined her fingernails. Neither of them defended me. My father shook his head, still grinning. Face it, Cash. You are not like your sister. She has drive, ambition, real talent. You are just there taking up space in this house, wasting everyone's time with your pointless dreams. Something cracked inside me in that moment. Not broke, because broken things shatter all at once. This was a crack like ice under pressure, a split that ran deep. Every time I had been ignored. Every achievement that went uncelebrated. Every comparison to Natalie that made me feel smaller. Every dinner table conversation where my accomplishments were footnotes to her headlines. All of it came rushing back, and I felt something shift. The desperate need for their approval. The hope that maybe this time they would be proud dissolved. What replaced it was cold, hard clarity. I stood there for 5 seconds while everyone waited for me to cave like I always did. Then I turned and walked upstairs. My father called after me, "Where are you going? I am not done talking to you." I did not answer. In my room, I pulled my largest backpack from the closet. I grabbed 3 changes of clothes, my laptop chargers, toiletries, important documents, my birth certificate, and social security card. Everything that mattered fit into one bag. My mother appeared at my bedroom door. "Cash, what are you doing?" I zipped the backpack. "I am leaving." Her eyes widened. "Do not be dramatic. Just take your sister and reschedule your interview for another day." I looked at my mother, this woman I had believed would always protect me, and felt nothing but disappointment. "There is no other day, Mom. They are interviewing candidates all week. If I do not show up today, I am out. They will move on." She said nothing. I continued. "You know what the saddest part is? I actually thought you guys would be happy for me. Proud, maybe. But I guess I was wrong about that too." I swung the backpack over my shoulder. My father appeared behind my mother in the doorway. His face was red. "You walk out that door, do not expect to come crawling back." I looked at him one final time. "Do not worry, Dad. I will not." I drove straight to the interview, my hands shaking on the steering wheel, my eyes burning. But I made it. I arrived at 9:25, 5 minutes early. I sat in my car for those 5 minutes, forcing myself to breathe, to compose my face, to push down everything that had just happened. When I walked into that building, I left my family behind. The interview went well. Better than well. 3 days later, they called with an offer. I accepted immediately. That job paid $35,000 a year. It was not much, but it was mine. I slept on my friend's couch for 3 months, while I saved every dollar for a security deposit. I worked that analyst job during the day and waited tables 3 nights a week. I studied for additional certifications after my shifts ended, sometimes not sleeping until 2 in the morning. 6 months later, I got promoted to financial analyst. My salary increased. I moved into a tiny studio apartment barely big enough for a bed and a desk, but it had my name on the lease. 1 year after walking out, I switched companies. A real estate investment trust offered me a position with better pay and growth potential. They specialized in property assessment, mortgage analysis, and foreclosure processing. My income jumped to $80,000 a year. I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment with actual space. I bought furniture. I built a life. During those 2 years, I did not contact my family. They did not contact me either. No phone calls on my birthday. No text messages during holidays. Radio silence on both sides. I threw myself into work, into learning, into becoming someone my 24-year-old self would be proud of. I went from the kid who had no future to a professional who commanded respect in boardrooms. I earned my CFA certification. I closed deals. I made decisions that affected millions of dollars. And I did it all without a single word of encouragement from the people who raised me. Then came a Thursday afternoon in March, exactly 2 years after I had walked out. I sat at my desk reviewing foreclosure files. These were cases where homeowners had fallen behind on mortgage payments, and the bank needed to reclaim the properties. My boss Gregory dropped a thick folder on my desk. New case. Homeowners are 3 months behind on payments. We need to process this quickly. Standard procedure. I opened the file, scanning the first page for the property address. When I saw it, my heart stopped. 847 Maple Drive. My childhood home. My parents' house. I read the borrower names. Raymond and Diane, followed by my family's last name. The original mortgage was $250,000. The outstanding balance was $190,000. They had missed payments in March, April, and May. A notice of default had already been sent. I read the file 3 times to make sure I was not imagining it. The notes explained that Raymond had lost his job 8 months prior.